So we're going to move into our top 10. We're going to talk about fantasy football. We're going to go into the top 10 fantasy tight ends. We're going to give you, it's our consensus top 10. It's not like each of us gave our own top 10 and we kind of mixed them all together. So I'm going to pull up the fantasy rank board here. And we'll start off with number 10 here, which you can see is, we have TJ Hockenson here. He is our consensus number 10. In 2021, TJ Hockenson finished as tight end 16 on the year. He only played 12 games, but averaged 7 fantasy points a game when he did play. He was drafted in 2019 in the top 10 of that draft to a terrible Lions team. The Lions added Jameson Williams in the draft this year and DJ Chark in free agency in the offseason. I think with the Lions getting better offensively, it raises Hawkinson's ceiling this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes as a top 5 tight end this year. For now, I personally have him ranked as tight end number 8 overall in the preseason. Steven, you have TJ Hockenson ranked number 10 in your tight end rankings. It is also your first time in our fantasy league this year. What do you have to say about TJ Hockenson being ranked 10 in our consensus ranking?
So, I had him at 10, so exactly where I had him. Detroit, they were rough last year. Let's be honest, but I think they're going to be a lot better this year as long as Jared Goff plays better. Obviously, TJ will have better stats.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So as long as the Lions play consistent, he's going to be a good tight end for the season.
Yeah, I think he's going to be solid this year. I think he'll be okay. Daniel and Tony, you guys don't even have Hockenson in your top 10. Care to weigh in on what you guys see in Hockenson?
The Lions are trash.
Yeah, that's honestly.
I can't.
They are trash, but they're going to be better. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Go, Daniel.
Honestly, he could be up there. I'm glad he's in our consensus top 10 because he's a good tight end. It's just the Lions are terrible, man.
Hey, they're going to get better. They're going to get better.
I mean, they're going to get
What are you
better.
going to say about Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts is going to be even higher, and they're on the worst team.
That is true.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's why I can see that he's there, though, because, who else you got in Detroit?
Exactly.
They've added players, though. I mean,
What do you think?
Be better.
We'll see.
What do you think about TJ Hockenson, Tony?
What he straight out said. Detroit is trash. Although, you brought up Kyler Pitts, but I mean, the Falcons are still going to do way better than the Lions. They are going to get better. The Lions are going to get better, but how does that help them out this year? They're still trash this year.
Yeah, they're both of those teams are going to be pretty trash this year, but we'll move on to the next team on the fantasy rank board. The number 9 consensus team between all of us here is Mr. Zach Ertz. We have
Zachary.
Zachary. We have Zach Ertz at number 9 on our tight end ranking board. I personally have him ranked as number 10 overall. I do love Ertz in the first 4 to 5 weeks of the regular season, but DeAndre Hopkins is coming back week 7 after serving his 6-game suspension for PEDs. Once he comes back, I think he's going to take a lot of the target share. Last year, Ertz finished as the tight end 10 overall, averaging 6.3 fantasy points a game in the 17 games he played for both the Eagles and the Cardinals. I think if you do draft Ertz, I'd look to trade him for top value in week 4. People want him if he does good the first 3 weeks. I think he'll be okay. But prepare for Hopkins to return as he will cut into Ertz' target share. Daniel, you have Ertz ranked at number 7 on your board. What do you think of him being 9th overall in our consensus ranking?
I think he deserves to be higher. Obviously, I had him at 7. But I can see your point in him falling off later in the season because of D-Hop coming back. He's going to take a fair share of the targets away, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, though, Zach Ertz is a super veteran. He's just a high caliber tight end. I have him up at 7 because of the high caliber offense that the Cardinals have, and I have in my notes here that he is veteran AF. I was just trying to write stuff down quick, but he's a grade A veteran, man. There's no putting down Zach Ertz. He was amazing in Philly. I hate the Eagles, but he was great there. And I think he's going to do even better now that he has Kyler Murray at quarterback. So that's why I had Zach Ertz up there. As long as he's up in the top 10, I'm okay with it because he does deserve to be up there. Again, with all of these picks, it's only time will tell.
Yeah, that is true. I do think Ertz is going to be great. I mean, he is definitely a top 10 tight end.
Great, yeah,
I mean, he's been great. He is getting up there in age, though. So I don't know if we'll see if his age will catch up with him, but we'll see what happens there. Steven, what do you think of Zach Ertz?
I had him just above at number 8. He's like everyone said, he's a great tight end. Like as a Cowboy fan, we saw him twice a year for many years, and
You guys hate Zach Ertz. Well, you hated him. Now you don't.
we hated him. But I mean, he was a good player. Let's be
respect
honest. And now that he has a quarterback that can actually throw the ball to him, he's going to be much better.
What do you think of Zach Ertz, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I put him at 8 too. He's solid all around. He's dependable. He's going to be a go-to, especially with D-Hop out. So I think him and Kyler are going to build a relationship, and it's going to just push him up to the beginning of the season, especially. But even when he notices that D-Hop's back, he's going to be everybody is going to rotate around D-Hop once he's back because it's prime weapon. So it's going to give Ertz that availability to be open for the pass.
I do think the Cardinals could be really, really good this year if they can mesh well. They've had a lot of late season meltdowns though in the last couple seasons. The Colts did too last year, but we won't talk about that. But let's move on to the next team on our ranking board. The next player we have on our ranking board is Dawson Knox out of the Buffalo Bills. Last year, Knox finished as the tight end 6 overall. He played in 15 games and averaged 7.7 fantasy points a game. That's pretty good for a fantasy tight end. This is a large leap from the 2020 season where, believe it or not, he finished as the tight end 32. So nobody knew who he was in 2020. In the red zone last year, he had 22 targets, 14 completions. 8 of those 14 completions were touchdowns. That's insane stats there. I think the Bills will be in the red zone a lot this year. Give me Knox if he's available in the mid rounds of fantasy drafts this year. Right now, I have him projected as tight end 7 on the year. Daniel, you have Knox as your tight end 5. Looks like you love him a lot in drafts this year.
Yeah, I have him up at number 5. Like you said, I mean, he was tight end 32 2 years ago. Last year, he went up to, what did you say, like 13?
He went up to tight end 6 last year.
Tight end 6, yeah, super high.
From 32 to 6.
Dawson Knox is going to be a huge sleeper. I agree with Edward in the chat.
Sleeper.
He just came off of not a sleeper, but he's going to be really good. And a lot of people aren't going to really realize it because of all the weapons that are on the Bills. But he came off his breakout season last year. He's super young. He's going to do amazing things this year, barring health concerns. I mean, he hasn't been unhealthy. I'm not saying that he's an unhealthy player or prone to injury, but
just so we're clear, I hope no one ever gets unhealthy because I don't want that on anybody.
But yeah, I have him up at 5. I think he's going to do really well this season. Josh Allen's insane. I mean, like we said in our previous video, if you guys haven't checked that out, Casey and I did a full record predictions for every team.
Yeah, I did the AFC and Daniel did the NFC.
Make sure to check that out when we're done here. But anyway, the Bills are going to pick up right where they left off last year, and we had mentioned that they're on a revenge tour. Dawson Knox is going to go nuts this year, so I have him up at number 5.
Yeah, I'm calling it the coin flip revenge tour because that coin flip, I think, pretty much cost them a Super Bowl. I think they would have won the Super Bowl had they gone, because they wouldn't have lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship like the Chiefs did. Sorry,
still would have had to get through the Rams though.
Yeah, that is true, but I think they could have beat them. Tony, what's your take on Dawson Knox?
And like you said, he has a very good offense behind him, but there's a lot of weapons there. So yeah, he's going to be a good tight end, but there's too many receivers that they could choose from.
I think there's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yep, I put him at 10 just because he's going to spread. They spread the ball very well with the Bills, so yeah, I see him getting targets, but it's all very equally shared. So I left him at 10.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. What about you, Steven? What do you think of Dawson Knox this year?
Oh, I had him just over at 7 also. Just like I think Daniel had him at 7. Or Casey. Oh, no, Casey was at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's on a great offense. No doubt about that. Josh Allen will use him well. So he's going to be up there really easily. And they're going to go far this year. So we'll see how good he is.
Moving on from Mr. Dawson Knox, we're going to our rank number 7 consensus ranking.
Dawson.
Which is a player that belongs to Steven and Daniel's Dallas Cowboys. We have Dalton Schultz here as number 7 on our list here.
Down to 7. You all hate Dalton Schultz.
It's not that we don't hate him.
He's a good player.
Daniel, Steven, since he is one of your boys, let's start with one of you guys. Let's talk about some Schultzy. Let's start with Steven.
So I actually had him a little lower. I had him at 9.
No faith. No faith in the game.
Let's
Sometimes you gotta be
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You gotta go for it.
So Cowboys are going to try and use their wide receivers as much as possible this year. Um, Tight end for the Cowboys has always been a safety net since
The early
can't
years
even-
of Jason Witten.
Jason Witten. It's every time you watch the Cowboys, that's what they say. Tight
just-
end, sleep the.
I just think of that play where Jason
They're all
Witten ran down the
reliable.
sideline without the helmet on. That was awesome.
Mhm.
The only thing about not Zach Ertz, Dalton Schultz that scares me is his blocking. He is a terrible blocker. So if he can't block, they're going to replace him. That's what it's going to come down to. And the Cowboys need the help on the O-line right now. So
Daniel, let's
Yeah.
go over to you. What do you think of Schultz?
Okay, first off, I have Dalton Schultz all the way up at 4 this year. I think he's going to come back off injury and do amazing. So Dallas is a really weird offensive scheme, and a lot of the times you can't really tell if they're a spread offense or not. But having said that, I do agree with Steven that they're going to be using receivers a lot more. But in that aspect, that means Dalton Schultz won't really have to block as much, that he'll be an extra receiver out there. And he runs really sound routes. He's got reliable hands. He's a very good tight end. So I do think he'll come off of his injury very well. Dallas also did have the highest scoring offense last year.
That is true.
And I think that their caliber is going to stay the same. Even with the departures of, the couple of offensive linemen, that are gone, we still have Tyron Smith. I think our offensive line will hold really well anyway. But yeah, I think he'll do really well this year. I think he's going to put up a lot of points. Like you had mentioned, Casey, I mean, tight ends are, or Steven said it, tight ends are the safety net for the Cowboys. I mean,
Correct.
You had Jason Witten there, all reliable. Dalton Schultz picked up after Jason Witten. And he's been just as reliable as, Jason Witten was. He doesn't drop a lot of passes. He runs consistent routes. He plays really well. So I got him up at 4.
well, they franchise tagged him. They want to keep him.
Yep. That's
What do you-
exactly right.
What about you, Tony? What do you think of Dalton Schultz?
I had Schultz at 9.
Mhm.
That might vary, especially with a lot of what's going on in the offseason. The Cowboys seem to be hurting right now, receiver wise, because
Yeah.
Cooper's out. CeeDee Lamb moved up to 1. So they've lost a lot. which means
Washington just
that-
got hurt.
Yeah, Washington's out. So you guys are struggling on the receiver side, which might work in his favor. But like you said, if he can't block, he's going to get replaced.
True. But to me, Schultz was a surprise last year. He finished as the tight end 3 to end the season, playing 17 games and averaging 7.7 fantasy points a game. He contributed to the Cowboys finishing as the league best scoring offense last year. Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson left this offseason that we just touched on right now. That's opening up 1,500 receiving yards from last year to be accounted for.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot of yards. Michael Gallup is also missing some games with his ACL recovery. It points to Schultz having another solid season this year. He is predicted as my tight end 6 overall this season. So that's where I have him. But
He could be one of those. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
He
go
could
ahead,
be
go
one
ahead.
of those that.
No, shut him up. It's okay.
that, like you said earlier, it's like an early pick, but you want to look to trade him later on down the road if he's not doing as well. Or
And once everyone starts getting healthy,
Exactly.
he'll be utilized.
correct. Yeah,
less.
that's where I have Ertz too. So like I love Ertz the first four weeks, but after that I want to trade him. So
Yep.
But let's move on. Next player in the fantasy ranking board. Player number 6, we have Dallas Goedert, just ahead of Dalton Schultz in our consensus rankings here.
Ooh.
Before the Ertz trade last season, Goedert averaged about 35 receiving yards a game. When Ertz was traded to Arizona, he averaged about 60 yards per game. So he just about doubled his yardage. Long story short, Ertz trade was great for Dallas Goedert. I have him ranked as my tight end 9 because of the A.J. Brown trade, and I think Devontae Smith will steal some targets as well. Just a lot of players to feed. You guys are higher on Goedert than I am. Tony, we will start with you. You have him as your tight end 7 overall. What you got on Goedert?
Like you said, it's a very explosive offense this year. I actually think that they can take the division themselves because they have so many mouths to feed. It's so many different weapons. But even when he was splitting targets with Ertz, he was still kind of out-phasing Ertz at one point because he started becoming more reliable. So I just think from here on out, it's going to be Goedert show, man. He's reliable. He's a very big safety net for the Eagles.
I agree. I think it's going to be the Goedert A.J. Brown show over there.
Yeah.
Daniel?
Yeah, so I think he's going to be really explosive this year, man.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you think?
You don't think Devontae Smith does anything?
I didn't say
right?
he's going to do anything. I just think it's going to be A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert show over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to use AJ Brown as a distraction most of the time. He's going to go for the long ball. So
Yeah.
they're going to rely on the short pass with their tight end.
Yeah, and that'll come. I mean,
Quick little dump. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts will have to have his veteran abilities that he doesn't have to, do that. But regardless, talking about tight ends, I have Dallas Goedert as my 6. Like you said, Zach Ertz is gone. I mean, he immediately doubled his yards per game. He's just a really good tight end. I don't have much to say on Dallas Goedert. You covered most of it, but yeah, I have him up at number 6. He'll do really well this year again.
Steven, what do you think of Dallas Goedert?
He's going to do very well this year. I mean, he's basically the only tight end they have now. But I think they won't use him as much as like near the end of the season when they got rid of Ertz, just because they have AJ Brown now. But we'll see. I mean, like you said, it's like Dallas. It's going to be their safety net now. So they're going to use him a lot. Probably for a bit until I think AJ Brown gets more experience with the offense. But we'll see. But I have him at 6'2". You can see my little dog cap right behind me.
He's just chilling back there.
He's just chilling back there.
He's like, "What's up, guys?"
But we'll see him twice this year in Dallas, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun for sure. All right, we're going into our top 5 fantasy rank board here, or top 5 tight ends on the fantasy rank board here. At number 5, we have Kyle Pitts, and I think I'll just start on Kyle Pitts. I will start by saying this guy is an absolute freak. Average draft position in fantasy drafts this year for Pitts is the 3rd round and even the 4th round in some drafts. If he falls to the 4th round, draft the man. That's a steal there. The Falcons lost so many players from last year's team. Mike Davis, Wayne Gallman, Matt Ryan, Russell Gage, Mike Davis. I said Mike Davis twice. Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst. I could go on, but you get the point. Kyle Pitts is going to be the alpha in Atlanta this year. Sure, the team should be worse, and I think they will be. But I think Pitts will perform and could definitely be a top 5 tight end this year. They have Marcus Mariota out there, and he's not a bad quarterback. Everybody gives Marcus Mariota a bad rap, but he's just, I don't know. He's very mobile. I don't think he's bad at all.
I personally think Marcus Mariota is a QB1.
Yeah, he might surprise some people this year. Maybe the Falcons surprise some people this year. But Daniel, you have Pitts at tight end 8. Do you think he will struggle this year because of the players lost in Atlanta?
Yeah. I have him that low just because he's in Atlanta, man. There's not much you can do. I mean, Atlanta's going to be a big toss-up team this year for me. I don't think they'll win, a lot of games, obviously. But
I don't think anybody thinks they're going to. I don't think Falcon fans think they're going to win a lot of games. Yeah. I have them at 4-13 this year.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them do decent, middle of the pack throughout the season. But Kyle Pitts, I have at 8. I would have him higher if there was more reliability in Atlanta, but I just can't put him up there just yet. He is, like you said, a freak. He's basically a wide receiver. He's just a monster. He's so fast.
He's a freak.
Crazy hands. He's an amazing player in a bad situation, and I hope it gets better for him. But I have him at number 8.
Tony, what do you think of Kyle Pitts? I know you like the guy.
So I left him at 6. I drafted him last year, but he was pretty disappointing because of the Falcons have terrible offense. But so I know that's gonna hurt him. Like you said, though, they lost a lot of the receivers, a lot of their big names. So he's gonna become that fucker's a monster. He's gonna be receiver number 1. He's gonna take over the receiver spot. I think he's gonna do great this year. I still left him a little low on the rankings because it's Atlanta, but he's gonna have some good yardage this year.
Steven, what about you? Kyle Pitts, you a fan?
I am. I have him at number 3. He's, like you said, he's a freak. He's gonna be awesome. We'll see how good he's gonna be with how bad Atlanta is. They're gonna use him a lot this year. They have to, because he's the only reliable catcher they know right now. So we'll see how training camp goes out for wide receivers for Atlanta, but Marcus Mariota will use him a lot.
Yeah, he's definitely got his work cut out for him. Right now. But we'll move on the ranking board. Our tight end 4 overall. I mean, our top 4 are pretty self-explanatory here. I think this is everybody's top 4. Mr. Darren Waller, the I almost said Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. Daniel, what do you think of Darren Waller?
Still getting used to.
So I want to apologize because I forgot about Darren Waller and I forgot that he existed and I did not have him on.
That's why I started with you, because you didn't have him in your top 4. I think you just forgot about
him. I goofed on it. He deserves to be up here. Darren Waller's a beast. He balled out last year with Vegas, and I think Vegas is going to do a lot better than people think this year.
I don't.
We'll get to that later, though. But yeah, I did not have him on my top 10 list, and I should have. I agree with where he's at. He's a high caliber tight end. He's similar to Kyle Pitts in the sense that he's a really fast tight end. He's got really good hands, and he's more of like a receiver type in a way. But Derek Carr's got ridiculous weapons out there now, and it's going to be great for him.
What about you, Steven? What do you think he's going to do?
I mean, I saw him pretty much torch the Cowboys Thanksgiving last year.
I saw him do it to the Colts too, so don't worry.
Yeah. So I mean, he is a baller. Devontae Adams being added to the Raiders, I mean, that might lower his catches a little bit, but he should still see a lot of balls coming to him from Derek Carr. So we'll see how he does, but I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, the past 3 years in the league, Waller has averaged 22% of the target share with the Raiders. That's insane for a tight end. He is dropping in fantasy drafts a little this year because of the Davante Adams trade. Though Adams will steal some of the target share, Waller will still be a factor. Last year, believe it or not, Waller finishes the tight end 18 on the season. A lot of people don't realize that. They were like, oh no, he was a top 5 tight end. He wasn't. A lot of that was due to him missing 5 games due to a knee injury, back injury, and he missed some time I think he was on the COVID list. In the 11 games he played, though, he averaged 7.1 fantasy points a game. That's a lot for a tight end. If he's healthy this upcoming year, he will definitely be a scarier player for any fantasy team to face. Tony, you have Waller as your tight end 4. What do you think he's going to do this year?
I mean, I think for the next 4 receivers, everybody's going to say the same thing. It's going to be just repetitive. But Waller is he's great, man. He's a reliable source. I think, like you said, if he could stay healthy, he's going to keep on carrying that weight on the team. They do have a lot of mouth to feed, but he's a very favorable target for him.
All right. Go to number 3 on our ranking board. Number 3, out of the San Francisco 49ers, we have Mr. George Kittle. Daniel, I'll start with you since you saw the Niners end your season last year.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that reminder.
You're welcome.
He saw the Jaguars end his season, so
damn. I wasn't there. They were there. Yeah. I had a week already to let that sink in. But Daniel, go for it.
I hate the 49ers so much. Anyway, dude, George Kittle's a monster. I can't say much more about it. He's insane. He's more of a freak than Kyle Pitts. He's a giant machine of a man that
he is giant.
Has magical hands. It's ridiculous. He can block, he can catch, he can truck people. He's a freak. George Kittle's going to do just fine this year. He's going to produce a lot. The only thing is Trey Lance.
Yeah, he's a question mark for me. He's only played 2 games. Yeah,
I think he'll do okay.
He should be solid.
Yeah, if Trey Lance settles into the Niners this year, I know we're talking about tight ends, but in regards to this, like, if Trey Lance settles in and plays very well, the 49ers are going to be ridiculously good and scary.
What do you think of George Kittle, Steven?
I had him at 4, so just right under. Trey Lance will be a question mark, but once he settles in, I mean, he's got a great offense around him, so it's going to be good to see. He should settle in really well, and that defense is going to carry that team a lot too. So they should be good. George Kittle will be a big part of that, and that'll be it.
Yeah, they do have a solid defense. I think Kittle's one of the best and toughest players in the NFL when he's healthy. When he's not healthy, he's a different story, but he takes in targets in any game he plays, and I'd argue that he could be the most talented tight end in the league when he's healthy. Last year, Kittle averaged 9.4 fantasy points a game, playing in only 14 games last season. For me, like I said, a question mark this year is Trey Lance, who's only played 2 games. I don't fully trust Trey Lance at QB for 49ers, and in the end, I think it can hurt Kittle's production. Tony, your last one that hasn't given your point on Kittle here. What do you think of George Kittle?
I mean, it's all been said. But there's nothing else to say.
You want to go?
He's a fucking monster. That's it. Thumbs up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on the ranking board. We'll let Tony go first next, but I think Tony really likes this guy.
Going back to Tony's favorite player now.
Going back to Tony's favorite player. It's not his favorite player.
It's not at all. Actually, I despise the whole background behind him. Yeah, but I mean, Mark Andrews at 2. I had him at 2. I'm pretty sure everybody has these tight ends all in the same spot. See, I have him at 2 because he's super reliable. Like, he's a big body. He knows how to position himself to be open. He's a very dependable weapon for Lamar. He always seems to find himself open. Even makes it a crucial place to catch the tough jump ball. Or he's just a monster. I mean, Casey saw him firsthand, completely single-handedly destroy the Colts.
All right, since we're talking about that right now, I went to the game last year where the Colts had Monday Night Football in Baltimore. By the way, Baltimore, great stadium to see a game at. It's not like 10 rows up. We were up, what was it, 22-3 in the fourth quarter, and then Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews decided to shit on the Colts.
Sounds about Indianapolis.
Yeah, you know what? Shut up. We lost to the Jaguars. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But since his rookie year, I've really actually been high on Mark Andrews every year. Every fantasy draft, I've been trying to get him. He's averaged about 25% of his team's target share since 2019. He is seeing a ton of targets, which leads to a bunch of yards. Last season, he averaged 11.4 fantasy points a game and about 80 yards a game. That's insane. He finished as the tight end 1 overall last year, and everybody thinks it's Kelce that finished the tight end 1. It wasn't Kelce. It was Mark Andrews. I have him ranked as number 2 this year because I think Kelce is better, but that's mainly because the Ravens will be getting their entire running game back from injury too. So last year, remember, the Ravens had to they threw it over 600 times last year. They're not going to do that this year. They're getting J.K. Dobbins back. Lamar Jackson was out for a little while with injury. Gus Edwards is coming back. Steven, I think you have him ranked as 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. What do you think of Mark Andrews?
I mean, he's on a great team. The Ravens are going to be really good this year. It's going to be awesome to see him again. I mean, we watched I think it was the Steelers-Ravens game where the Steelers had a chance to win on that 2-point conversion, and it just went through his fingers, and you can see how mad he was.
We were watching that in Houston.
Yeah, we were in Houston because we went to the Colts Texans game, and
Sorry,
we saw
John.
that live. Yeah. We'll talk about the Texans some other time. But anyways, Mark Andrews, he's a beast. He's almost the same as Travis Kelce, but I think he's just a little lower than Travis Kelce.
Still a
just
beast.
A little, but still, yeah.
Beast.
What about you, Daniel?
I have Mark Andrews at 3. Like Casey said earlier, Mark Andrews was the number 1 tight end last year. They are getting all their production back on the offensive side, so I do think it'll take away a little bit from Mark Andrews. Having said that, he's a beast. Super good, reliable tight end. I don't know that I've ever seen him injured. He could have been. I could have just not been paying attention, but seems pretty reliable to me. But, having him finish tight end 1 last year says a lot, and I would say go get Mark Andrews like as soon as you can get your tight ends, obviously, but draft him first.
I agree. If Mark Andrews is there and you can take him and you don't like anybody else, don't even think about it. Just get Mark Andrews. Yeah. We'll go to our final, our number 1 tight end here.
Don't reveal it yet. Don't reveal it.
Okay. Well, I guess nobody knows who it is,
Does anybody want to guess who it is?
Anybody want to take any guesses? Anybody?
Jason Witten. Let's go.
It's Travis Kelce. Jason Witten, get out of here. Travis freaking Kelce. I think all of us rank Travis Kelce as the number 1 overall projected tight end this year.
That was consensus.
Yeah, Kelce's going to be 33 years old this season. The next oldest player being drafted in fantasy leagues. Anybody want to take a guess?
Aaron Rodgers.
Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tom Brady is still
retired.
insane too. He did, but then he decided to come back. Kelce, like Brady, have aged like fine wines. These guys have gotten better with age. Last year, Kelce averaged 10.7 fantasy points a game, playing 16 games, and he finished as tight end 2 on the season behind Andrews, as we said. Kelce should be the alpha this year on offense, I think, with Tyreek Hill, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, Darrell Williams. They all left. That left 2,500 receiving yards in Kansas City this year to be accounted for. Kansas City added Sky Moore, who I think will be awesome. I just don't think it's going to be this year. Sky Moore, I like in the future. They added Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Packers and TikTok clown Juju Smith-Schuster in the offseason. But I think Kelce will be Kelce and lead all tight ends in fantasy this year. I think he's going to be the alpha guy. Tony, let's move on to Kelce for you. What do you think of Kelce?
We've been saying this all for the past few tight ends. A lot of mouths to feed. Kelce is a reliable source to them. The connection's already there, so they know him and they know how the quarterback and tight end work for the team. So that's going to be a reliable connection. He's going to keep going back to him. Like you said, they have a whole new set of receivers, which they're going to spread the ball amongst. But since they already have that connection, I'm pretty sure he's going to be top. He's going to be one of the top targets throughout the whole season, which is going to push him ahead of Andrews this season. So I think he's going to be very explosive just because of that chemistry that's already built within the team.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, I agree. Daniel, what do you think of Travis Kelce?
I agree 1,000% with what Tony just said. I have no idea how that new offensive scheme is going to work.
I don't either, but that's why I think Kelsey's going to take
Anybody
him.
knows. Travis Kelce is going to be that reliable anchor for Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce has proved himself for a couple of years now that he's a good, consistent tight end. The Chiefs, I think, will still have a pretty high caliber offense. Having Patrick Mahomes at your home and having those receivers come in, they didn't bring in bogus receivers. Yes, they're not Tyreek Hill. Byron Pringle proved himself very well last year, but I think the Chiefs are going to do really well again this year, and Travis Kelce is going to help lead them to that.
Steven, you get the last word in the tight ends here. What do you think of Travis Kelce?
What else can I say?
I don't know. Say it though.
You guys have pretty much said everything, but like you said, like they lost a lot of receivers, so Travis Kelce right there is going to be pretty much the number one target, I think, to go every time KC throws the ball, but until I think everyone else catches up. Juju should be a good addition to them. I think he'll clean up a lot in Kansas City, honestly.
Yeah.
Not saying that he was bad or anything, but I think his attitude was just a little bad in Pittsburgh. But being with the Chiefs and a really high caliber offense, I think that should help him a lot. But anyways, going back to Kelce, he's been all reliable for Patrick Mahomes for how many years now? How long has Patrick Mahomes been there? 5 years now? 6
5
years,
I think.
5 years? Yeah. I mean, he's always been the to-go. Safety blanket. He's a great blocker. I mean, there's nothing else you can say. I mean,
He's a beast.
He's number one.
Turns people into pancakes.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's our consensus tight end top 10s for the preseason.